We're going to continue on with annotations, but basically I've shown you essential annotations that you can apply to your exhibits in trialdirector. The problem is there are some annotations that would really be nice to add in your presenting to a jury that even the new version of trialdirector does not come with. So what I thought would be a good thing is to show you how to actually annotate exhibits in PowerPoint with some of its tools, and then bring those annotations back into your case so that you have these additional annotations available when you go to present before the jury, especially some of the key ones that I think are really important. So I'm going to be showing that to you in this session as well. And then another thing that trialdirector in the new version and this version doesn't provide is a way to capture all at once a sequence of frames out of a video, and then import those. You can import those into trialdirector for exhibit annotations. You can do pause the video that you're playing in trialdirector and then do a screenshot of that frame and then play a little bit more and then do another screenshot. But it's kind of awkward, especially when you want to provide the jury with a slow motion of the video, or you want to reverse the video and you want to annotate on the video itself. And so what I wanted to show you in this session is how a utility program called GOM Player can allow you to capture out of the video that you want to work with a sequence of the frames instantly, and then you can import those into PowerPoint, annotate the individual frames, and then you can bring that PowerPoint with this annotations into trialdirector so you can present those annotations along with the animations that you can provide to the jury using the PowerPoint presentation, or how you can export from PowerPoint the individual slides into JPEG files, and then you can bring those in to your exhibits into trialdirector. So we're going to kind of fill the gaps with regard to what trialdirector can do, and by using utilities to help you enhance the exhibits. And then also, sometimes you've done a lot of screenshots in trialdirector. This is number 3 here. And what you'd like to do is be able to import all of those screenshots into PowerPoint for further annotation, and then export these back into JPEG files and import them back into your case with the new annotations that a trialdirector doesn't allow you to do, or doesn't have tools to do, I should say. And then also you could bring that new annotated PowerPoint with the new annotations on your screenshots back into your trialdirector case. Another thing I want to talk about and show you is when actually PowerPoint or trialdirector, neither one of them will provide the jury with the kind of presentation that will really win the case for you. And then there's another utility out there called Prezi, and is a good tool for presenting evidence in addition to trialdirector. So when you go to court, when we've gone to court, we haven't said, well, we're going to limit ourselves in presenting to the jury to trialdirector presentation tools, because there are some others out there that in certain situations will make a better impact. I'm going to show you Prezi briefly and why once in a while we use it over and against trialdirector and PowerPoint as a presentation tool. ThoughtWare is another concept that is out there, and it's basically the idea that major applications like trialdirector, PowerPoint don't always have the exact tools you need in your presentations, and they fill the gap between these other applications. So we call them ThoughtWare or utility programs. And so there's a little Prezi link here that I hope to get to show you how these various utility programs, in addition to Prezi, might be useful to you in your preparation of exhibits in trialdirector and outside of trialdirector when you're going into court. Then there are a bunch of links down here that I don't know that I'll be getting to, but these are YouTube videos I've brought into our situation, something about iPad, Elmos versus trialdirector, and I'm not going to get to all of these, but they're there for you after our course is over to see how these all work. And using barcode scanners, there's a YouTube video about that, and using especially wireless barcode scanners in when you print out your exhibits in trialdirector, you can use the barcode scanner to bring those up on the screen. And so there's a video here about that as well. And then the best way to import the data and files into your cases, there's a PowerPoint down below that will show you that as well. So we'll see how much of this we can get to here. So let me, first of all, I want to go to a PowerPoint in our course here, how to insert the screen snapshots into PowerPoint from trialdirector. So let's talk about this a little bit and see what this slideshow does, and then we'll actually do it. How to insert screen snapshots into the PowerPoint from trialdirector. So last week we did a lot of screen snaps and screenshots, and they saved themselves into the PowerPoint structure. But if we want to bring those snaps into PowerPoint, the first thing we have to know is where did trialdirector save those screen snaps. And so what you want to do is go into your presentation mode and click on Tools, and then one of the options is a snapshot save location. Where is trialdirector saving those JPEG files? And in my case, it was saving them in Users, Carl, Pictures, Desktop, trialdirector Training folder. That's where they were being placed. And so once you know that, you can go into PowerPoint, and you can go into the insert option in PowerPoint. So now we're over to take a look at where to get those at. And once you go into PowerPoint, you pick Insert, and you pick a new photo album. You're going to bring those screenshots into a photo album in a blank PowerPoint slideshow. So now we're going to actually go ahead and do that, and then we can save the new annotated screenshots into JPEG files, re-import those into trialdirector. So let me go ahead and go into trialdirector itself, and we're going to go into take a look at those screenshots. And here are where they're called screenshot snapshots. Here is where the folder is inside of my workbooks, where those various screenshots are that I had created last week and week before. So these are all my annotated screenshots that are like JPEG files at this point. And so if I go into a presentation, a PowerPoint presentation, and I want to bring those into PowerPoint, I would go into here and I'd pick Insert, and then I'd pick Photo Album, and then the files on the disk. And here's where I would have to browse out to where those trialdirector screenshots are located on my computer. And so I'd have to remember what that structure was, and then pick all of them and import them into trialdirector. I mean into PowerPoint. So what I want to do at this point, though, because that procedure takes a little while, is show you an example of having done that. So I'm going to bring up the example of those screenshots. So here is where what I did is I went into Insert, and I picked in PowerPoint, and I picked a new photo album, and then I browsed out to that folder where those screenshots were kept in my trialdirector case. And so now I want to show what that looks like. So I'm going to bring that PowerPoint up here. Oops. And go ahead and present this slideshow. I'm going to minimize the, try that again. And so anyway, this is what the slideshow would look like. I have brought all these snaps in here into trialdirector, and then what I can do is I can add additional annotations. One of the things that is kind of interesting to do is I make a copy, or rather crop this particular screenshot. You notice it's got a lot of black area in there, and so I can go to Format and Crop, and I can use the cropping tool now in my PowerPoint program to get rid of some of that black area that was grabbed into this particular screen snap in trialdirector, and crop that off. And then I can do a copy, and just do an edit copy and paste this particular image back into trialdirector, to PowerPoint. And then I can go ahead and crop this some more and get rid of that which I don't want, because I'm going to use a special tool here in PowerPoint that is not available in my trialdirector program. So I'm going to crop this particular piece. So now I've got another piece that I can use. This is under Signature Compare. Remember, we did that last week, and we wanted to compare the one piece of text to another to see how they were different. And so once you've done, you've got the particular piece that you want, you can right button click on it, and you can format that particular picture. You can put a glow on it. You can do all kinds of things with it that you couldn't do in trialdirector. And the picture effects and all these tools, in other words, that we have in PowerPoint that we didn't have in the trialdirector program. So we can go in here and make use of a lot of those. And what I've done here is I removed some of the background, and I have a screen clip now that has transparency that I didn't have as thoroughly in my other app and trialdirector, and I can move the piece down over the text that is down below and see the differences a little bit more clearly than I was able to do in trialdirector. Then I can save this PowerPoint out, and I can play it in my trialdirector program. And I can come down to some of the other screenshots that I have, and I could add some other annotations features that I didn't have in trialdirector itself when I look at these. So here's an example of one of the screenshots that I had. I can come in here and format this and crop it. And let's say I just really wanted in my cropping to have this picture. I can crop this. So this cropping feature in trialdirector is one that you don't really have as nicely in your trialdirector program. And then I can crop that, and then I can expand it and make the image quite a bit bigger on this particular slide. And I could add animations and other arrows to give myself a nice effective presentation when I bring this PowerPoint back into trialdirector. So that's basically the procedure. You'd bring your screenshots into PowerPoint and then use its annotation tools to present back into trialdirector. So I'm going to close that down and go back into trialdirector here and into this interface. And I'm going to go into my presentation mode, because I did bring a PowerPoint into this particular case with those examples. So I brought that PowerPoint in, I imported it into a trialdirector, and now I'm going to go ahead and present that in before the jury to see the differences. So I'm going to go back into my presentation mode in trialdirector and do a presentation of the actual PowerPoint. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure I've got my PowerPoint workbook open here, and then I'm going to go in here and pick examples of screenshots and throw that up on my screen. And now I've got my PowerPoint running, and I'm going to click through this to show you. Now, the first thing, as I mentioned earlier, and I put this into the PowerPoint for you, you have to locate the folder that contains all the screenshots before you could import those into your PowerPoint presentation. And you do that by doing this over here. I clicked on the presentation icon and preferences. And once you go there, you go to tools, and then you're going to kind of cursor down until you see where the screenshots, snapshots are being stored. So when you go into PowerPoint, you have to know what that path is before you can pick the insert to a new album. And that's what I put here, so you can see that that's where my screen grabs are located. And now I'm going to go on to the next slide. And now this is the example that I was showing you, what I did, the cropping and so on. But I did something in addition. I made like a little animation, and I can go to the next slide to show you how that works. And when I click, I brought that piece of the screen snap into PowerPoint. I got rid of the background, and then I brought it right into my PowerPoint presentation with a little animation that brought it in to the eyes of the jury and overlaid it like unto this. And now I'm going to go through and show you. These are all these screenshots that we had separate files, but now I can show them in PowerPoint instead of having to push them up on the screen using the push-up tool down here. And sometimes this is a little bit quicker than it would be in the other method. So I'm showing these screen grabs and just clicking through PowerPoint and showing all those same screen snaps that I had before. And this is where I enlarged the nose picture in my PowerPoint presentation to show a little bit more clearly the difference, and just kind of go through here and show that all of these screen snaps are now in this PowerPoint slideshow. I could go back and show this to you. If I pick the screen snapshot folder and then come over to the listing that I have, I can send them back up on the screen, as you can see here. But I cannot do the animation or the transparent background that I showed you earlier in these screenshots. So that's one reason to bring these into PowerPoint and then use the PowerPoint in addition to the screen snaps that you have. Okay. So now what I want to do is go back into my PowerPoint, my trialdirector interface. Go back over here and click that. There we go. Okay, so another thing that can happen when you're using PowerPoint and you're presenting in like videos is you'd like to be able to reverse the video. You'd like to be able to maybe annotate on the video, and it's not really possible to do that in trialdirector. So I'm going to come over to my video folder. I've got a number of videos there that I can show to the jury. And if I, bring them up, you can see them here. And we can play them, and you saw me do it before, but then I had to do screen snaps to actually annotate on individual frames of that particular video. But what if I could bring each of the frames of a video into PowerPoint and then annotate them there and then export it either to a video or back to a PowerPoint, and I could use that PowerPoint to reverse the video. So I've done that here with an example. I've got a PowerPoint in which I have done some screen grabs using a tool called GOM Player. So I'm going to show you the example of how it works first, why it's an advantage by actually presenting this in my presentation mode here. So I'm going to come back to my PowerPoints and pick the one that has got the GOM Player imports and throw that up on the screen. So this is a train incident that was annotated in PowerPoint after the frames were extracted using that utility program called GOM Player. And then it can be, as I said here, imported into trialdirector, which I've done. And so here is the first frame that was grabbed by the GOM Player program, and I've imported it to my slide. So I'm going to go ahead and click, and notice that animation that came in from the side that was done in PowerPoint, and then imported the PowerPoint into trialdirector. trialdirector doesn't really have that kind of facility, so I've used it here in PowerPoint and brought it into trialdirector. And I click in the next frame, and I'm just clicking through each of my slides, and now comes another animation. And as I click through these frames, I'm going to go back one, I click that, I've got another annotation, and just clicking through it slowly to show the actual sequence of events in that video. Okay, now what I can do is reverse it by using my up arrow key on my keyboard. I can reverse the video frames for the jury and pause on any frame with the annotations. And get back to the very beginning. So this is the advantage then of exporting individual frames of a video into the JPEG files that it will export and then import them. Now, how do we go about doing that? Well, I'm going to go ahead and exit out of this presentation mode altogether. And I'm going to actually come out of trialdirector and come back into my screen here to show you GOM Player. Now this is the program I have up on the screen now is the GOM Player program. I'm going to come out of there and come out of there. Once you have GOM Player open on your screen and it's a shareware program, you have to pick the video that you want to work with. And you pick this tool here, Open. And then you would go out to the video that you want to work with. Train.mp4 is the one I was working with, and open it up on your screen. And then you can play it to the point where you want to do some screen clipping out of the video. And then once you get to the point in the video where you want to grab individual frames, and remember, a video actually is just a bunch of still pictures that were taken very quickly by the camera, and then they're played one after the other very quickly. So there actually are individual pictures in every single video. Now, once I've got the video to the point where I want to have it, I'm going to move it backwards here with this little toggle tool that are provided. Get it back there. So what I want to do is capture the sequence of the gentleman getting off the motorcycle and pushing the stalled van off of the tracks to save this from being an accident. So I've got it positioned where I want it, and now I've got to go over to another tool called the control panel. And the control panel in GOM Player allows me to do one screen capture like I was doing back in trialdirector, one at a time. So I could capture the screen, then advance the video one frame and do another capture. And it's pretty tedious, and also you don't get the sequence as closely together as you maybe would like. So GOM Player comes with an advanced capture feature. And this is an advanced capture feature that allows you to tell where you want to put these individual files. So if you wanted to change your directory, you'd pick here, and then you'd pick where you want to put the files. I'll pick desktop, and I'll make a new folder, and we'll call it frames. And actually called it frames too, because I had one out there called frames. But then once I picked that particular location, I can open the directory to take a look at it, and I see I already have some put into the video frames folder. I already grabbed a whole bunch of them out of there. So I know that I have those there already, but I want to maybe add some to it, or I want to change directory and make a new directory here. Because you don't want to sometimes concatenate the ones you're grabbing with the ones you've done before. So I'm going to call this frames. Whoops. I'm in trialdirector training. I'm going to go up to my desktop, make a new folder, frames 3, we'll call it. Okay, so now I should be able to change the directory where I'm going and come down to frames 3. And now I have a blank folder to put the sequence into. Now down here, you're going to pick the image format, which is normally what I like is JPEG, not BMP. JPEG. The quality I always put up at 999. I'm sorry, 255. And then the burst capture, how many images you want to capture. I topped that at 999. I'm not going to capture that many, but I'm going to stop capturing after so many clicks anyway. The burst interval, a half a second between frames. Depending on how many frames are in your video, you might want to adjust that. With this video, I know that's a pretty good, sometimes you have to practice with that and see which is the best interval. And then you can capture one frame at a time, or you can do the burst capture, and that's what I really want to do is burst capturing. Now, before you click the burst capture, you've got to start the video up. I've got it in pause mode now. So I click play, then quickly come back to burst capture, and I keep clicking on burst capture. Every once in a while pausing in between, and just continue to do the burst capturing on this particular video. We could actually move this out of the way. You should have done that first so you could see the video. But you can see right now, as I'm watching the video and doing burst capture, the man's getting off the bike. And then I'm going to go ahead and click burst capture again. Once I see him in a new position, I click and keep clicking until I get the sequence that I want to bring into my PowerPoint. And I'm clicking the burst capture when he gets over the tracks. Now I click burst capture when he comes back and out of the way. And then I can stop the video, and I can close this, and then I've got my sequence out of the GOM player itself. So now what I would do is go into my PowerPoint slideshow. I'll start a new one here, and blank presentation, and I go up to insert, and I want to do a picture, but not one picture. I want to do a whole photo album, a sequence of pictures. So I pick new photo album, and then I have to decide where those files are that I want to bring into PowerPoint. And I go to new, go into here, and then I have to go to the folder where I put them, which I believe I put them on my desktop, and I put them in frames 3. So here are now all those individual frames that I captured out of the video. And I can kind of look through this. I can make this a little bit bigger so you can see the icons. I can look through here and see which frames I want to pick. I don't need all of them, but I do want to sequence. So I'm going to come down here a little bit further till I get to the point where I see the man getting off his bike, and then can start picking there. So here he is off of his bike. I click there and I hold my shift key down and come down a little bit further in the sequence until I get to where he runs across the track, and I think I'll just pick those for now, and then pick insert. And then what PowerPoint does is bring those individual frames into this mode. And you don't have to check anything unless you decide you don't want that particular picture. You could just pick a sequence of these. If you pick them all, we don't have to check anything. But if you just want to pick a sequence in here, you can just put check marks in. But I want all of them. And then I'll say go ahead and fit to slide and create. And once we have them in there, I can get rid of this title slide. And now I can go ahead and just show you what it looks like. I'll go ahead and play the slideshow from the beginning. And as I click through the slideshow, you see I've captured that sequence of pictures, of individual pictures, using GOM Player. And I can then use the up arrow key to reverse it. Once I've got that, then I just simply do a file save as a PowerPoint and import this PowerPoint into the trialdirector program. But here's where I can do something now that I cannot do in trialdirector. I can begin my annotations. So I can annotate these individual frames, and I can insert the annotation tools that are available in this particular program, PowerPoint, that were not available in my trialdirector program. So I can put an arrow. I can go ahead and type something in. Van belongs to so and so. So I can put text inside of my arrows, expand my arrows, and I can then animate the arrow. I can go up to animation, and I can say fly in, and then I can do my animation pane, and go ahead and pick effect options, and I can say from the top, and click OK. And so now, if I just play this one slide, we have the frame, and we have the animation, and then we go on to the next one. So that's the basic idea that I wanted to get across to you with videos. We often had to do this when we worked with videos in trialdirector, surveillance videos and other kinds of videos, to really hyper annotate individual frames and then bring those into our trialdirector program. So I'm going to go back into a trialdirector. And we went through the procedure of already importing that PowerPoint into my case, so I'm not going to go through that again. But and we've done the importation of various documents into trialdirector. But I wanted to get into trialdirector to actually show you the procedure for creating a new case in trialdirector and then importing the items into it in a different location. So right now I could open a case. trialdirector remembers the cases that I've worked with, but I really don't want to open a case. I want to create a new case. So I cancel that, and I go up to File, Create a New Case. Now, I've been creating my cases on my hard drive, but you could create them on an external drive. And in this case, I know for a fact, I'm just saying this, pretending, that I'm supposed to create this case on an external USB hard drive. And so I have plugged into this laptop computer an external drive, and I'm going to create the case on that drive, and then I'm going to import all the data for the case onto that drive as well, so that when I'm done working with the case on this particular computer, I can properly eject that USB hard drive and bring it over to a different laptop that has trialdirector on it, and then open that case directly from the USB hard drive. So let's see how this works. First thing is I got to select location for the new case. So I pick Browse, and I have a terabyte drive plugged into this computer. So I'll pick the terabyte drive, and then I want to make a new folder on this particular drive for the case. For the maybe cases, I should say cases, because trialdirector is going to make its own folder underneath this particular case. So I'm going to say TD cases. I'll say maybe do this, trialdirector cases. So I can create more than one case on this USB hard drive and tell trialdirector to put the cases underneath this particular folder. So that's where it's going to put the new case. The wizard will assist you in creating the new case and will put it underneath this trialdirector cases folder. So I'll pick Next. And now it wants a description for this particular case. And we're going to call this one video presentation. This is basically this trialdirector case we're going to pretend has a lot to do with videos and such. Or we could call it Jones versus Samuel. So whatever case name you want to give it, you do that. You have a matter number. You're going to put your matter number in there. Use the case description for the directory name. Notice this, the folder that it's going to put all of our case information into and work with is going to be whatever the description is here, so that we have a unique name under that trialdirector folder on that USB hard drive. And if we have matter number, we can put that in here, and we can put notes. This case is due in trial, blah, blah, blah. So whatever note you want to put in there. And then we can enable the case security. We didn't talk too much about this, but this is pretty important, especially if you are exporting a case or you're creating a case on an external USB hard drive. You'd probably definitely want to enable case security and put in the administrator information, password, and so on. And then also, once you've done that, case encryption. Case database will be encrypted for extra security. So if you're doing what I'm doing now, you're going to want to enable these two items. I'm not going to do that right now, but I would recommend that. And then go ahead and pick Create. And now the case is being generated, and the default folders are being created on my external hard drive. And so there's nothing in these at this point. Everything is empty. And so what I need to do now is import the information into my new case. But I had told you this before, the main thing you want to remember is do not import data that is not inside of the case folder that was just created. So I'm going to use File Explorer on my Windows computer to go out and find some data, some documents that I want to put into that case folder. So I'm going to come into my trial director training folder here, and I have one particular folder called frames that has some individual frames in it, and I want to right button click and copy that folder, and then I want to go to my external hard drive where that case was created. Go to this PC, go to that terabyte hard drive, go into the trial director cases, and then I want to go inside the Jones versus Samuel case, and I want to right button click in here and paste all that data into this particular folder. There are quite a few individual frames there. Now, why I'm doing that is because when we actually want to move this hard drive that's external to this computer over to another computer, if I don't do this, all trial director will have done when I imported the data documents into the case was create links to the files on the C drive of this particular computer. And then when I eject this particular hard drive and take it to another laptop, and I open the case and I try to bring those exhibits up, the frames up on that the other computer, it'll say they're not found. It won't find them because it didn't make copies of them that just linked to them. So that's one of the problems that you can get into when you use external hard drives, or if you save your or you create your cases on a network drive, and then you have your data on the C drive of a particular computer. Then when somebody else opens that case from your network drive, they're not going to be able to find the files because they're on your workstation's C drive, which is a big no-no when you're using your trial director case creation options. So this is taking a little bit longer than I wanted to, so I'm going to go ahead and abort that, and it will have gotten some of the information into my folder, so I can take a look at that, and we should see some of the files got in there, and that's all I really wanted to demonstrate to you, that they're there. But now I want to come out of File Explorer, and I want to actually bring those documents into this new case. So right now the document folder is empty, so I can go up to Documents and import new items from manual selection, and I want to go out to my my drive where I put those files, my terabyte drive, and into my case folder. So I'm going to come down to Trial Director Cases and go to Jones versus Samuel, go to Frames, and that's where these files are. Now I'm just going to pick a few of them. I'm going to use my Shift key here just to pick a few of these files, and that's all I'm going to actually bring into Trial Director. And then I'm going to put in FR, that these are frames, and use the name of the file as the name of the ID, and bring those into my case. Now when I click here, you see I've got these images into my presentation. Now once I've got everything, and I'm not going to go through the import of the transcripts into this case, but you do the same thing. If you have transcripts, you want to copy the transcripts with File Explorer into the substructure that is on that E drive, that the external drive. Copy the transcripts into the folder structure in your case, and then go through the import of the transcript manager down here and import them from that structure. Okay, so now what I want to do is come out of this particular case, and quit. And go ahead and go into the trialdirector program again, bring it up to show you what happens. And when trialdirector comes up this time, it's going to look at the recent cases that it has had to deal with, and it will give us one option, and that is opening a case from that external hard drive, or the ones that are on the C drive. So now it comes up and actually only sees the last case it worked on because it was on that particular drive. If I would go into my other folder and then browse for my cases, I can go out there and find those cases on my hard drive itself, and cancel. So that's basically the procedure to follow in creating the new case on an external hard drive. I wanted to come down into folder for our website and bring this up again, and that is when Prezi might be a better tool for presenting evidence or in addition to trialdirector. And oftentimes we would use Prezi in addition to trialdirector. You can get a desktop version of Prezi, and I'll show you the advantage of it over the tools that are in trialdirector in certain cases. So I'm going to go up to a Prezi presentation that I've created out on the internet, and again, this can be created down on your desktop as well. But this is called utility software, and I'm going to go ahead and make it go full screen. And then this is the way Prezi works. I'm going to click forward, and Prezi brings up kind of like slides, like in PowerPoint and in trialdirector. But now I have the zoom tool, so I can zoom in on the text and bring it up to the jury with my roller mouse on my mouse button. And then I can go on to the next slide and talk about utility thoughtware, filling the thought gap with programs to augment the main litigation thoughtware programs. And then one of these programs that I want to talk briefly about is Audacity. And it says, is it on your disk? That's because I provide this to my students in other classes. And there's a link here. So this is like a hyperlink. They can go out to a website, which you really can't do in trialdirector. So if you have links that you want to go to outside of the application, then this is a place where trialdirector doesn't do very well. I can go ahead and click on next. How to download someone's Facebook page. trialdirector doesn't do that, but if you want someone's Facebook page and their pictures in a case, you do need the admissibility issues regarding that and utilities to do it as well. And the American Bar Association has a link here as to some of the admissibility issues. And then you want to bring a videotape or audio tape or slide or negative that you'd like to digitize, then there's various hardware that will enable you to do that, and also software. What if the programmers forgot to include, but others thought to invent, converting Unicode to ASCII, enhancing and modifying an image, renaming lots of files automatically, harvesting data off the web? So these are the things that all these utility programs can do for you that trialdirector that you need to use before you bring information into trialdirector. YouTube Downloader, that's another program that is freeware that you can download, and you can grab YouTubes and bring them into your trialdirector cases as well. Stitching images together, there's a program called ICE, Microsoft ICE, that does this when you have various panoramas that you want to create. And there's auto stitching on your iPhone. And then there is Quick View Plus. That's another application. View virtually any electronically stored information. And a problem of long file names and paths is dealt with here with regard to when you can't get at a file because the path name is too long. In any case, this is Prezi. And if I come over here to the side and click Home, it shows you all of the different files, slides that I have out here, and I can come out and zoom in on any particular slide that I have and then go back to home. So this is a different way of presenting information. It's called Prezi.com, and I did want to apprise you of the existence of this utility, Prezi.com. You can go pro with it. It's about 29 bucks a month, I think, but I have used this in addition to trialdirector in some of the presentations that I've done. And you know, you don't have to have the internet. You can use the desktop version of Prezi. And so that's a link here for going out to see what that's all about. Barcode scanners. There's a nice wireless one by Teotronics. It's a Bluetooth wired barcode scanner. And what you would do there is have like a little notebook you'd carry around, and you can click with your barcode scanner and bring it up, or if you're sitting there, your laptop, and you have a trialdirector notebook printed, you can click on the barcodes and bring them up without having to type in the exhibit numbers and so on with regard to the barcode scanners. And so this is a link to a barcode scanner that's a very nice one, and you can go there and take a look at how to set that up later on if you'd like to.